MSTR stock. We haven't talked about this in a while, so let's jump into it and let's determine if MSTR is currently a buy or if we should wait for a better trade entry opportunity, right? So let's go ahead and break down MSTR. We're going to look at Mara and MSTR both. We're going to be jumping back and forth because it's going to be a lot easier. MSTR, of course, is going to trade differently than Mara, although, just to be very clear, MSTR does not completely correlate Bitcoin, just like Mara does not completely correlate Bitcoin. But please remember, everything I'm going to say is just my own opinion. We're going to be going over previous structures that I've covered in previous MSTR videos and then how that holds up today. And of course, please just do your own research and your own due diligence. I just like to share with you guys what I'm doing. But here's a quick update on the monthly, right? So Bitcoin just over 3.5% up for September. It is still September. It is the 23rd. We are not done just yet. And, we can see this number trickle down. There's a few reasons why this number can drop a little bit more. I am going to be covering about that and how that can influence MSTR. And of course, if we can see September drop more and actually end in the red, that'll be really, really good. Of course, like look at this one, 4% up basically to 28.5%. Just because if it's red does not mean we're gonna have a massive October, but we do tend to see, and plus this was like towards the end of a bear market too. I, you know, that was 2022, but we're still in a bull market. There's no signs of it yet, so it's very interesting to see how the rest of this year will play out. But we all understand that we are towards the end of this bull market. But there's still some room. There's still some possibility, and that's influenced by a whole lot of factors that I will probably talk about in future videos because I've talked about them so much in previous ones. But for Bitcoin, just to quickly understand, and like 2 or 3 videos ago, I kept, and plenty before, but I kept highlighting the 112K liquidation, very, very much possible, and it fell in line perfectly with a retracement support area that I'm going to talk about in a moment. But that does not mean the correction is over. The bigger picture says otherwise, and all we did was retrace. It was, the whole reason for that 112 liquidation wall is to remind us that just because we were pushing up higher and went into resistance does not mean that the price has to break past resistance just yet. And I kept stressing about that, and the importance of waiting. That's why I closed out all my short-term longs within this blue resistance area, which I'm going to go over again to give a better understanding of what's happening right now. And I just was waiting and waiting for support to be hit as an opportunity to begin accumulating, getting ready for October. But as of right now, and this will make sense in a moment, we have some strong liquidations just underneath. It basically at 107K, but a lot of them go just below 107K. So keep that in mind because this is going to make sense in a moment. So before we jump into MSTR, I'm going to give you guys the bigger picture on Bitcoin, what I'm looking at, and then how that can influence the primary stock we're going to talk about. But yeah, we've been uptrending for a long time in the bigger picture. We're in a bull market, so we've just been uptrending. When it comes to the short term, like we caught out this area to begin kind of being careful with overextending ourselves to the long side, because I gave you guys this extension area as potential resistance early on. There was plenty of time to catch this. And then from there we started weakening. So we've gone up quite a bit. We were in deep value here at one point. We bounced off of deep value earlier this year. We had this opportunity. These deep value opportunities don't really last very long. We had an opportunity from here. It pushed the price much higher, just like it did back here. But we went up much higher, finally break it into the overall green bull market estimate area. The next target is 128K, by the way. But we started a correction from there. So we've had a nice wave down into this red accumulation area. We pushed higher all the way up to these orange take profit lines. I give you guys these ahead of time as well, just so you kind of know what I'm looking for. But we excuse me, we went from accumulation support into some short-term resistance. Then we kept tracking this move up all the way up to here. We kept tracking it with this support area in red, and I gave you guys an extension showing that I gave you guys actually two levels of extension, and also this value gap showing that the price can't excuse me, that the price can actually break below the point 0.5 retracement and go a little bit lower. I've talked about this more in detail in previous video, but I've used these red areas as an accumulation opportunity for some new short-term long trades, and then resistance being from the swing high down to the swing low. Blue resistance, simple retracement area, and then I also backed it up with an extension zone with early fluctuations. So accumulation, if you guys been watching, you know I took profit within blue resistance, and now we're looking for this correction to finally finish. So just like back here, so the first wave down, we were also looking at a 3-wave move. So that's what we had. We came down and we finished it, right? 3 waves. And now we've had that corrective move higher for the second one. Oops. And then now the final third wave is also unfolding as a 3-wave move. So the idea here is that we come down into the accumulation zone, which I always usually highlight in red. And then we went up into resistance, and now we're trying to finish the final third wave down before we go up higher. So here's sort of why I'm now leaning back towards prices coming down lower into this area, and why I'm accumulating early with the possibility of it coming down lower. So the second wave up is just simple. We've been following the price down with this blue retracement, indicating that after finding support, it can rally up to this area. It should not influence everyone to be very too overly optimistic, just because if you're optimistic during the price going up and not actually breaking past resistance, which is at 118k, and it couldn't break past that, it's very likely that at that point, if you're not locking in some profit, you're going to see some depreciation. As of right now, we can easily hold a higher low right here and push up higher, but the liquidation heat maps I showed you indicate that, yeah, no, I mean, lower prices is very much possible. Breaking below 107k briefly, actually trading into this purple deep value area, which I will be most likely, I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting to buy BitU into this area. If not, I'm going to let some short-term IBIT positions just rally. But if we do come down, I'll be complementing it with some BitU the moment we break into the purple area. So now, right, how does this influence MSTR? So I'm set up for either direction. Some of the short-term IBITs though, like we're in support, and this retracement, which is from the swing high down to the swing low, it's very similar to this one where we come down, we try to see if the price can go up to take profit in the short term before it comes down. It's very simple. We came down, we go up into the blue retracement, and then it could potentially hold strong resistance. I mean, we're trading below the 120 moving average. The RSI can max out to the premium. The moment we go into this blue, it's very much possible. At least that's what I'm paying attention to. And then from there, I'll be just locking in a little bit of some short-term profit and then conserving capital for some better discounted buying opportunities for an even bigger trade. So how does this actually influence Mara if I'm looking, or not Mara, MSTR stock, if I'm looking for something potentially like this, or just a straight shot down? I mean, the sooner we go down into deep value, the better. But any move higher, just remember, it can just be a short-term bullish correction within a downtrend. That's all it really is, at least the way I'm looking at it right now, regardless of what's happening in the macro. So MSTR, finally, right? We're jumping into it. So I haven't touched this chart in a long time, but if you guys remember in previous videos a while back, we were taking advantage of an accumulation zone. We had 3 opportunities. I give you guys every take profit zone. I always show it ahead of time, so you guys know what I'm looking for, and you guys know where I'm probably going to be actually locking in some profits. So we had an opportunity to accumulate in the red. We had some short-term profit taking. I kept saying, at this time there was like some pretty decent weakness, but like another dip into this red is just another buying opportunity. And then we pushed up higher. We actually broke past the take profit. We broke past it. We found resistance in previous resistance areas, and then we just followed it with a simple, retracement as an opportunity to accumulate. Like it couldn't even break into it a whole lot, so that was super bullish. And then eventually we broke up, breaking over the swing high, and then at that point it was just don't be greedy. That's all I have to say. But right now, right, what makes sense right now? Okay, so the price action to the upside did what it had to do, right? We took advantage. We had like two really good, I mean, super clear take profit zones. I mean, after we hit this area, I like haven't talked about MSTR in a while, so I couldn't even like document that. I was way overly focused on Bitcoin and Mara. But right now, right, what do we have? What do we have to look forward to? So we all know that MSTR is basically just buying a ton of Bitcoin, and there's a big argument. It doesn't matter if you like this company or not. It's what trading opportunities does it provide. So right now, like, there's a lot of people arguing that MSTR is basically acting like a Bitcoin ETF, but you can't completely do that because they still have balance sheets and spreadsheets. They still have an an underlining company that operates. It's not just a Bitcoin ETF, like a lot of people argue. I'm just being realistic about it. So the idea here though is that I remember back here though we've been tracking this for a while, and we like pushed up into this zone really nicely, and we've been holding it ever since. This like bigger picture take profit zone. So it's looking likely that we can see higher prices. But the question is, right, is this an opportunity to buy, or are we just kind of like you know better off just waiting for a better deal? So here's a few ways I'm going to look at it. So from the last accumulation zone, I'm just going to follow the price up currently to that high right here. And I'm going to leave it in blue. I'm going to probably color code this like later on and make more updates on it. Okay, so that means that the price came down and it's in support. And now it's actually trying to hold above the 120 moving average. It usually fails to hold above it, but now we're actually seeing a bit more price action above it. It's currently below, but it's looking like it's softening up. I mean, just this swing high right here in the micro was respected, but it did not find resistance, which is actually very interesting, right? It did not find resistance. It broke past it. The resistance was at 343, and it went all the way up to 358. So that's actually quite bullish. Like there could be a potential bottom forming. So now just look at this at another view, right? Because we don't want to be getting ahead of ourselves and getting into a trade that can just trigger an SL, and then instead of triggering TPs it can trigger an SL. So we want to make sure we approach this properly. So here's how I'm looking at it. So on the daily candles, um it's looking like a good deal. I mean, it looked like it is forming a bottom. It's pretty much very much discounted. MSTR does not tend to overextend the discount line much, and it's trading within this area quite well. But right now we're still waiting on some bullish confirmation, right? So on the daily, it looks like a good deal, but it doesn't look like an immediate, um, you gotta open up a long like right away kind of thing. It looks like it can still take some time. So I want to break this down in a smaller picture to see how healthy this really is, right? So from the low, which actually bottomed out perfectly at the 0.618 $317.90 line. But here's the thing, right? This is why I want to be patient with it. Like if you look at actually no, I'm sorry. The high is up here. So it came down and it actually broke below the support line. Sorry, so there's still some bearish pressure. So the idea here is to wait. On the daily, it looks really good. I mean, chances are if you buy this and you wait till like the end of if you wait for this like last quarter that's supposed to be really bullish for Bitcoin to have its final big move up before the bear market starts. If you have that time frame, cool. Like that's probably actually absolutely fine. But we got to remember though, this high couldn't break over this swing high. I'm not trying to be like blindly long or anything. And then another thing too is like, well, was this move actually factored in properly? So if we just take advantage of like measuring multiple different price levels here when it comes to swing highs and swing lows, it looks like just from this move, so it went up, came down, couldn't break below the swing low, So it built up bullish momentum and it went up higher, found perfect resistance within an estimated, or I mean, this move went up perfectly into a take profit zone if we were looking at it like that. If we were looking at it like that at the time. So now if this high actually topped out in a ideal position, I mean it maxed it out perfectly, we can now factor in this next opportunity, right? So I'm just trying to make sense of the chart, making sure that everything looks healthy. So from the low all the way to that high where it maxed out the zone, it came down, found support perfectly. I mean, that was already there in yellow. So that looks good. That means that the corrective move was actually healthy. So now, if this move up is healthy, the corrective move down is healthy, is, how high can we really go if this support area, which is the retracement from the low to the high, if this does hold, how high can it actually go if Bitcoin influences a lot of inflows to MSTR with this next pump that we're waiting on? We can still see some downside pressure. So I'm going to get into that in a moment. But it can potentially go up into this area up here, right? So how likely is this when it comes to like the rest of the year? Can we really expect MSTR to go into the 600s later this year? Okay, well, the thing is, though, regardless of the price looking to go up there, we got to see if this low is even factored in properly. So I'm going to just simply use this. We have a really nice three-wave move down, and then it just started like consolidating. So from the high to this low, and again, the color coding isn't like real good right now, but as you can see, let me see if I can. I kind of like the way the green looks, to be honest. Uh, Okay, so the idea here though is how far down can it really go? Is this retracement area support actually like reliable enough? Well, just from this move down, and actually I forgot to say this as well, is this move up factored in properly to actually reach retracement? And as you can see, it did. It went in perfectly and actually broke the point 0.5 retracement. So this is actually worth considering. So this further validates this zone. So that means that, hey, if we're looking at longs right now in MSTR, well, don't be surprised. I mean, if you're day trading this and you're buying at these swing lows and you're just trying to capture like small pumps up, like the pump up can be as simple as like this whole move. If it comes down into a swing low, potentially, you know, uh, we can see a little bit of a small pump. I mean, I'm not really going to day trade that at the end of the day. Like if you're just trading the equity alone, it's like, it's not super. It's just not worth my time. I'm looking at the bigger picture. So right now, yes, right, like we are trading within support, and technically, as you can see from the extension, the bearish supportive extension at $322.51 is where it starts, and Bitcoin or MSTR did actually come into it, and it continues to hold the premium section of this area. But due to due to a lot of these moves being factored in properly. I mean, like look from the high that was actually valid all the way down to the low, the price pumped up perfectly within this area, and that creates a nice resistance. That means that also this move up right here was also factored in properly, which means I would not be surprised. I mean, if you take longs right now, I mean, I hope you're setting a tight SL. I hope you're. I mean, if I were to take a long right now, I would take a tight. I'll place a tight SL at 317 basically. Because chances are it's gonna trigger the SL and we can see lower prices. So right now, the supportive blue area, big picture retracement is not really as strong as it has been before. So the idea here is, we can see something like in the past where we go into a bearish extension a bit more than actually respecting retracements. So the idea really is that, you can take a long if you want. I just hope if you guys take any longs right now, I just hope you're setting a very realistic SL, because due to, again, all of these corrective moves higher being actually valid and factored in properly based on my own retracement measurements, Well, it shows that this extension area is, very high probable that it will be filled. So in the short term, I'm bearish on MSTR right now. I really am. And this is also backed up with the idea that Bitcoin can just see a lower high before it comes down to short term devalue, or at least break below this area a bit more and go below 110K at a minimum, at least, right? So I'm short term bearish on big. I mean, well, not like a real short term, because we're still in support. We can go up into this retracement before we come down, or we can just come down directly. So like technically, I'm short term bearish on Bitcoin. I believe there's still some more weakness. It's only the 23rd of September. We can still see some more weakness. I mean, even the bigger picture factor, it makes sense. And actually, I think I already gave you guys. I think I gave you guys in a previous video an estimate, and this can also be very like sort of short term bearish on. Oh wait, hold on, I messed it up. We got to start from the beginning. So this is where it actually started. So from here to there's a few ways I want to look at this. There's a few ways I kind of want to look at this. I'm gonna do two because I kind of like the overshooting second wave. Uh, it's quite bullish in my opinion, at least in the bigger picture. They kind of overlap perfectly with the discounted portion of the purple. So if Bitcoin is showing strong possibility for some short term weakness in you know for like I don't know, like 2 more weeks possibly or something like that, like definitely won't be over this week unless we just see it come down more directly than just having that pump before it comes down. So if Bitcoin is overall weak, at least for the rest of this month, well, we can easily see MSTR fill this area quite a bit. Like, I would not be surprised if it goes below $300. So, yeah, guys, I mean, the pump up did what it had to do. It did what it had to do. This area is not as realistic anymore. Um, the pump up couldn't break over this swing high right here, the super sharp swing high. Regardless of the internal waves actually being like factored in nicely. So yeah, like right now, besides being like basically short term bearish on Bitcoin, just waiting for the correction to actually come down a bit more, it will look better on the chart. MSTR, yeah, I'm like we can see a little small pumps. I mean, we can see fluctuations, but the overall trend is still down. We do not have bullish confirmation. This swing high couldn't break over this swing high. And even if it did, like even if you factor in it being perfectly in line with it to be considered good enough to look for bullish confirmation, then you can't deny the fact that the price broke below a simple support retracement tool. So it's like, yeah, no, I'm very much short term bearish on MSTR. I mean, it can do a little bit of pumps like tomorrow or after or whatever. Um, but I don't see it breaking over the swing high as likely as it would be for the prices to come down further into the red. So I believe MSTR can easily come down underneath $300. Yeah, no, I want to see this red area filled a bit more. Once if we do break over the swing high, I'll give you guys what we're looking for. I mean, I can give it to you right now. Really, like if it does break over that swing high, it's not very likely, but I'm still gonna show it either way. If it does, 366 starting up to 404 can be a resistance area, and it can easily it could be factoring in this whole move down, and then it can still push the price down lower. Like this is not I'm not very bullish on this stock, at least right now. I see lower prices. So hopefully this video made sense, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.